It's Tuesday, April 23rd, Wednesday, April 24th, if you're on the East Coast, across the pond, or down under. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day and night. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North, on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. Hope you had a great day and night. Let's get this thing going as we look towards tonight's show, including if you're listening on Deep Talk Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, we have them free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. Currently under construction, we're bringing a brand new look for all of you to enjoy. Tonight's show is brought to you by the YouTube channel in Suho. Sebastian Martin brings high-quality messages to the masses. Head to our website, click on the In Suho banner, and subscribe to the channel today. Robert Kennedy is a Sasquatch researcher from the Cariboo region of British Columbia. Yes, we have shared a coffee together. Robert has roamed around all over the forests of Canada's most western province, looking for the anomalous cryptid, a multiple experiencer of what the First Nations call around here the harried wild man. Robert has been investigating this monster for more than 2 decades. He, along with fellow researchers, have found numerous clues and identification marks, which he is going to share with you tonight. So if you're out looking into the forest trying to figure out, how do I know if Sasquatch has been there? Well, Robert's going to teach you. And he also believes, for 100% certainty, that Sasquatch exists. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. My good friend, Robert Kennedy. First time on Spaced Out Radio. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm excited for tonight.
You want to give a quick shout-out to your brother before we get going?
Yeah, if my brother Tom is listening, hey, we're thinking about you all day. Glad you made it through. Long 4-hour surgery, open heart surgery. Just hang in there. Be tough. Love you.
Absolutely. And we'll send some good vibes from our Spaced Out Radio family to yours and your brother tonight, man, because the one thing I know about our listeners is the fact that when they put their energy to something, they make things happen. That's just the way they are. They're pretty strong that way. So we need some positive vibes for Robert's brother. Just had open heart surgery today. We need a full recovery. So let's all give some love and send that positive energy and healing towards him. Robert, I want to say thank you to doing this. You and I actually met kind of inconspicuously because your son and my daughter were hanging out for a while. And that's kind of how you and I got to meet, because your boy's like, yeah, my dad's really into Bigfoot. And I'm like, well, that's cool. I have to meet this man. I have to. And I'll tell you, I'm so glad I did, because you're a heck of a guy. You're a great researcher from what we have talked about. And I'm very excited to have you on the show tonight.
You know, and Dave, I got to say that I was shocked to know that there was a radio show and researcher and yourself up here that was just excited to be able to know that somebody else is doing this. And, you know, I got to say that we just don't believe we know that the creature exists. And what we've come to know is the information is vast. There's a lot, and it's going to help a lot of people that are green out there that don't know what to look for, don't understand. We're gonna give you the indications of where you need to go, how you need to do it, how these things travel. There's been so much information out there that has been miscued. It's not right on the money. We're going to give you some information that's going to be on the money so that you understand why you don't get to see them out there at times. But if you do the things that we did, you're going to see them. Not if, you are going to see them. And it's almost like a money-back guarantee that you will see them.
Let me ask you this. How did you get involved with Sasquatch Research?
That's funny. You know, I got to start back out when I was a child. I lived in Ontario. We were moving to BC. The economy was bad. Dad needed a new job, and we were heading out to BC. I was 7 years old. And I said to my aunt, I'm going to go out and hunt Bigfoot. And I'm going to capture Bigfoot. And it was a joke. It was literally a joke. 20 years later, I had a very bad car accident, and I wasn't doing anything. And I started to take all this stuff that I was reading on the internet or before, reading books, the things that I was excited about, and I started to apply them. And one of the big things, and I'm jumping ahead of myself here because I'm a little bit excited to be on the radio, but let me tell you, one of the biggest things that I really had to say is that Dian Fossey, and she's been a big part of our research. She's been probably the most appointed person that we would take information from and start researching. And when it all started is when I had my first encounter, and that was 16 years old. And when that happened, I knew from there that later on through my life that we needed to start to research, and we needed to start to push ahead. And I hope I clarify a little bit better. I'm jumping over here on you, but I'll give it back to you. But that's when we started to research, is when I was 16, a buddy of mine and I saw the creature walking up a trail, and from there I was just captured. So having that, being a young kid, having that enthusiasm, watched all the Bigfoot shows, the Boogie Monster kind of thing, and it became reality for me.
Well, let's go back to when you were 16 years old and tell us what happened there.
So I used to hike up the mountain in Gibson's. We used to call it the Cemetery Trail. And we hiked this trail, 3-4 times a week. And this one morning, it was about 11 o'clock in the morning. We're walking up this trail. We used to go visit a guy who lived in a cabin up there. And my buddy looked up and he says, "Hey, look, there's a bear up on the trail." And we both looked up, and we're looking now almost at a 45-degree angle. It was a really steep trail. And I noticed that this back of the neck of what we thought was a bear touched this branch. And I said to my friend, I said, "Chris, that is the back of his neck." And we both got up to where the branch was afterwards. And we couldn't stand on our tippy toes to touch the branch. And we further followed what we thought was a bear, and we could hear it going through the brambles, and we followed through that trail, and we ended up coming around a cedar tree, and here was a big bed of huckleberry bushes built, and all I can say is it looked like a nest, a large nest. And that's when I clued into what I was pretty sure what we saw. And in the nest, there was hair. I couldn't, thinking about it later on in life, I thought how lucky we were that there were streams of hair in this nest. So something was laying down, something was living in it, or staying in it.
British Columbia has always had a very long history and relationship with the Sasquatch, so much so that many people, including myself for a long time, thought there was actually laws on the books protecting this creature, which apparently there are not. And that kind of surprised me, considering the history and the lore in the way that British Columbia really engages and accepts its First Nations heritage. When you started looking for this creature and started really taking a look around the province at why it's so active, why is this just the money hole for Sasquatch research? Why is there so much activity in the province of British Columbia?
Well, it's a good question, Dave, but, when we look into the history of British Columbia, the outer coast area in the early part of the century had a lot of people. So you got to say to yourself, why did they get to see? Did they see these creatures? How many people would have saw them back then. So I look at it at this is that the honey hole here is because being from the West Coast and then being into the brambles here and being into the forest here, I just think it's really it offers all four, I think, of the habitat, the surrounding area, the shelter, the trees the big trees, the protection there. There's the conservation of it all. How can you say? I mean, in that, if you want to say that the protection, I look at it as this way: is that these creatures love the forest, and the way they move in the forest is really it's like commandos. They really understand how to move, and it's like any other wild animal, but these creatures really know how to hide, how to keep themselves hidden away from people, and I'll get more into why they do that. But the habitat here in British Columbia and the forest range and what it offers is a big part to the existence of these creatures. And I really believe for a time that they had a bit of a down decline. But when some species like elk and that got reintroduced back in the areas, they really bounced back with the elk and stuff like that. And I don't know if I answered your question properly, Dave, but go ahead, sorry.
Well, you look at it, in British Columbia is a very large province. It could eat up probably most of the states on the west coast of the United States outside of Alaska. It's bigger than most countries in this world. And yet it doesn't matter where you are in the province, whether you're up north near the Yukon and Alaska border, whether you're on the Rocky Mountain side by Alberta, or whether you're on the coastline. This creature is seen absolutely everywhere. People are having experiences, whether it's in the high mountains or whether it's in the farmlands of the Fraser Valley or the coastlines, where there are historic sightings, including an island that has been nicknamed Sasquatch Island by Thomas, why am I forgetting his name? Thomas Seawood. And there is a lot going on here, and yet for the amount of sightings that are going on, there doesn't seem to be very much regulation or understanding of what we are actually looking for. There's still a lot of people out there, politicians on down, who laugh at the thought that there could be an anomalous creature roaming the forests of BC.
I really believe that, say like with forestry, I believe that they know that there's a creature there. I mean, there's so many technicians that go into the forest to count trees and do their species type and set out their plots and stuff like this. You know, there was a time that we protected an area around our campground, and in that area, we had a geologist that had to go through there, and we went in there with them. And while we were there going through the forest, these knocks all around us were happening, and none of them made aware to what those knocks were. And of course, I knew what they were. I knew that these creatures were just following us through the forest. Now, how many times has this happened that these geotechs, these guys that do species identification, how many times in the province of BC, every ounce of this province has been mapped? You can't tell me that those guys have not run into these creatures.
Well, it's funny you bring up the logging situation, because I've mentioned that a couple of times on this show, Robert, as Robert Kennedy, Sasquatch researcher, is our guest tonight on the show. Robert, in regards to the logging companies, which is literally the backbone to British Columbia's economy, we ship lumber all around the world, and it's a big money maker and sector of the British Columbia economy, as I just stated. Anyways, moving forward, there's a lot of money at stake because these logging companies will send a mapper into the forest to map out an area of where they can log. Then they bring in the big gear to go in there. And if they end up finding some sort of habitat of a Sasquatch or any other creature, they will shut down that logging camp immediately. And that's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, for the company that owns that plot of land to log or has the contract for it. So it doesn't make sense for the logging companies to make mention of any type of Sasquatch involvement. In fact, I know last year a logging company in the Cariboo region of British Columbia, where we broadcast, about an hour and a half away from where I live. I'm not going to give the location because I got to go out there and look, and I know you're going to come with me, Robert. And they last year, for about a week straight, had all of their equipment tampered with, footprints everywhere leading into the forest. They had rocks thrown at their gear, like big rocks. Some would call boulders. You and I couldn't lift it. And the workers were terrified, absolutely terrified. But the owners of the property came in and said, don't you say a thing. Nothing goes out publicly because we need to log this land. We need the money. And that's just the law of the logging land. It's like one of those unwritten codes. Have you heard about that?
I'm going to laugh because, and this is where this is going to get fun. I researched this area, and I don't actually like saying I researched. We studied this area, and I'll give out this location because now it's broad and open. But I'm going to tell you a story, and it's a great story. Here I'm on the street, and I talk to this guy who's a protester, and he's up in Roberts Creek, and this is 15 years ago, and he's telling me how the loggers in the middle of the night at 3:00 in the morning are walking past their tents, and they're making heavy footstep sounds, and they're trying to frighten them out of the area. And I said to him, take me to where your camp is. I want to see what's going on. And I didn't say anything to him about Sasquatch. So I went up there, and this is before anyone ever tree knocked or knocked back to people, but the creatures knocked back. But I went in there and started to tree knock. And the tree knocks I got back, I knew it was the creatures. I said to him, I said, you don't have a problem with the loggers. What you got is a problem with Sasquatch, Bigfoot, going through these areas. And you're in their territory, and you probably got a male who doesn't want you here anymore. And I said, listen, the forest is their habitat, and you're destructing. The logging companies are destructing it. And the proof to the pudding of that is when you said that these machineries were getting rocks thrown at them, and big rocks that we couldn't even lift. I talked to the loggers, and I love that because I'm a logger myself. I've logged, I've fished, I've done the commercial laborers work in the province, so I can relate back and forth. And I knew a lot of these guys that were in this area, and so I asked them, several of them, if they had any footprints, and was there sticks, stones, rocks, and they come back and they tell me, hey, listen, Rob, they said, we got these boulders and we can't figure out how these protesters are putting these boulders on our excavator tracks on top, and we have to take the bucket to get them off. And they swore up and down that the protesters were throwing rocks through the windows of the excavator, or at that time they're using big towers net to haul the wood out of the forest. And all of a sudden, they're getting a baseball-sized rock bouncing off or going through the side window. So I spent a lot of time with some good researchers in this area. I talked to the protesters. They told me things that were going on and what was happening. They knew that there was Sasquatch there. They didn't know how to deal with it properly. They were a little shocked on what would happen. It's like this one story. A lady says, she made a cup of coffee. It's late at night. It's dark. And she goes to put the coffee cup down, and something in the dark picks the coffee cup up and drinks it, and then puts it back down, screams, and runs off down the trail. Well, I knew exactly what it was, and the loggers, I'm pretty sure they knew what was going on. We went into that area. We had great success. The calls, the knocks, the footprints. We hid in the big old stump and sat beside the creek and listened to them surround us, and calling back and forth, and these creatures coming down and around us. And so this area in Roberts Creek was a hot spot, was on the news, the protest, the fight, the provinces involved. And yet nothing was ever shared about what was happening daily, but yet the protesters complaining, the loggers complaining, and yet they were having a lot of the things that were happening weren't being done by the protesters or the loggers. It was being done by the Sasquatch.
A lot of people would have a hard time believing that. Yeah,
they would. But, I mean, the protesters were assertive that there was these loggers. And, 10 years later, I go in there after the logging was done and go talk to some of the protesters who were still up there living in shacks or living in trailers and still protesting what was happening and the destruction. And it was a beautiful forest. It was a hemlock fir forest, and it was gorgeous. It was a shame that it got logged. Should have never happened. But, it was true. These things did take place and did happen.
Very interesting. We got about 30 seconds left with you, Robert, before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. When you look at this creature and you see the significance of it and the popularity of it in British Columbia, are you surprised that not more people are actually out there looking for it?
I think so. Yeah, I'm surprised. I think a lot of people, when they think about a creature in a forest, I think there's fear that come on them. I mean, I've had a lot of people that were pretty green, gone in the forest, had some encounters with me. They came out crying. They came out excited, happy, but fearful.
Very interesting. On that note, I'm going to get you to hold on. Robert Kennedy is our guest tonight, Sasquatch Research in the province of British Columbia, Canada. What's going on in the forests? We'll find out. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio coming up after this.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, Eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com. Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters right here in the frozen Canadian tundra. Remember, if you've missed part of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. The only thing I ask in return is that you hit that subscribe button. And don't fret, our website is under construction. We are redoing it all due to the popularity of the site. It'll be back up within the next couple of weeks. Tonight we head north to the province of British Columbia, where we are broadcasting this show. But tonight we are focused on Sasquatch, the big hairy beasts that are roaming around the forests, the mountains, the lakes of British Columbia. And speaking with us tonight is longtime researcher in the field, Robert Kennedy. Robert, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Dave.
Now, right before the break, we were talking about loggers and the problems that they have, and there's no way that they are going to be giving up their plots of land for any type of research when it comes to Sasquatch with the signs. But on the flip side, they are human as well. Have you ever talked to any loggers who have been freaked out by Sasquatch encounters on the job site?
There's a great, out there on the net, there's a great story. His name's Don Solinsky. Don was a road builder. And in the early 80s, he was building a road into Chapman Lake. And at the end of the road one morning, Don goes to go up to his drilling machine, start it up, and have it warm up, getting ready to drill some holes. And here on the end of a log, he sees this, he says, this monkey-looking thing that was jumping up and down, flapping his arms and screaming at him. And he was so freaked out that he jumped off the drilling machine, ran a mile down the hill, past the crummy, and past the guys that were getting ready to go falling and stuff, and just kept running. And when they stopped him later, they all kind of had a chuckle, laugh, and said, "Hey, you know, what's up with this taking and leaving work kind of thing?" And he explained the story. They all went up there. The creature was gone. They all thought Don was full of it. But I talked to Don like after he retired, and he told me that story. And he says, "This day I still won't go back to that spot." He never went and drilled that road again.
Why are people so scared of this creature when they encounter it?
You know, when we took our camp over from forestry, the camp was known as, had a ghost in it. The RCMP, forestry, didn't want to go in it. They had this, they said there was some kind of weird feeling when they would go in that camp. And it was all filled in. It was all bushed when we took it over. And I happen to say it was kind of freaky. Our first night when we started to clean it up in there, I'm sleeping in the back of my Dodge Ram. My buddy's sleeping in his Ford. And that night there was a couple of rocks that were bouncing off of both of our vehicles. And you got that sense of beware. And I think that's true. I think there is the beware. Later on through the years, we lost that beware, but we had much more friendly encounters where the creature began to come right into the camp. So I think they give something off. I think that they have some mechanism that they do, or they're just their presence, or could it be the unknown that gives you that indication? Hey, this shouldn't be a place that we need to be. Just the other day, I was reading, listening to YouTube and listening to not an RCMP, but a police officer down in the States, and he was researching this area about Sasquatch, and he was putting up cameras, and he came into this area where he's had these cameras several times, and all of a sudden, he had that same fearful feeling. And the thing is he ended up getting to see the creature that day, but he was really, really spooked. He said straight on there that he feared for his life. He thought it was over. He thought he would never get out of there.
In regards to the size of this creature, the British Columbia Sasquatch, along with Washington State, maybe right down to Mount Shasta, seems to be a rather large beast, larger than other creatures that have been seen and noted in North America. What makes the West Coast Sasquatch so much larger than its potential family members across the rest of the continent?
Well, I don't know if that is so true, and I don't mean to correct anybody here, but some of the creatures that we've seen weren't that big, were slim, weren't that tall, but Bella Coola has a theory, or through their stories and stuff, they have two beings. One is a Sasquatch. And I don't know their name. It's like Seashell Smalak, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it quite right in their native language, but it means stinky person. In Bella Coola, they had two creatures. One were knuckle walkers, lived up in the mountains, would come down and take the dead, and the other was a Sasquatch that lived down by the ocean, and then during the summer would move up into the higher part of the mountains. So, yes, there are big creatures. Why they become so big in BC, I think it's probably genetics. I think could be, we did see some big creatures too, especially in an area that was heavily forested and very cavernous, like lots of big ravines, lots of big areas. And it seemed that in that area, they were big, strong, older creatures. There was how do you say it? I don't know if I can say there's a good answer to why they're bigger, but I can say that I think we have a couple of different types of Sasquatch in the province of BC.
There's also a lot of the native First Nations people who absolutely fear this creature. They feel that there are more male Sasquatch than female Sasquatch, and strongly believe that many of the missing Indigenous women across the province haven't been kidnapped and murdered, but have actually been taken as Sasquatch wives. Have you ever looked into that?
Yeah, we really looked into that one, Dave. And here's something. The Sechelt Nation feel they have an area where they don't go at all. They tell their people to stay out of it, don't go there, and it's been in their land, just where all their land claims are and everything, and they just will not spend any time in this area. And then, the stories I get back is. There's one really good one from the nation, is that they used to worry a lot about their children, let alone about their women, and they used to say that the Sasquatch would come down off the hills, war with them, take the women and the children, and go back into the forest, and we looked into that, and so what I did through our research years. I had my kids with me and my wife. Now, we didn't use them as bait, but what we noticed was when we took our walks in the areas that we knew that the creatures were, and we knew that we'd have encounters, we would have the kids play. We would have the kids be loud. We'd have the kids screaming. And that really, I have to say, and it's true, that we got more encounters, more creatures following us than we expected otherwise. The kids did bring on the interest of the creatures. They really did. Especially I got to say, we moved into an area that we didn't expect any Sasquatch to be in, ended up being one of our best research areas. And my house, we had just put a mobile trailer on this piece of land. And that summer, my son was awoken. We had just put him to bed and was awoken to this creature looking in the window. And he said to his mom, and you want to throw the story out, because how many creatures how many kids just fall asleep and have a little bit of a nightmare right after they fall asleep and wake up and thinking that something's in the bed, out the window. But what happened that night was that creature did look through the window, the drapes weren't up. Deb, my wife, put my son back to bed. And not even more than 15 minutes after she put the child back to bed, we had a huge bang on the side of our house right by his window that night. And I tell you, there were no trees, and to this day, there's still no trees in that vicinity of the house. And later on here tonight, I'll tell you more stories about what took place in that area and trailer that we had, mobile home that we had, that really would just support what took place.
Now, you owned a campsite on the west coast of British Columbia, near the water, near a town called Sasquatch, I believe. And
yes.
that area has been very well known for Sasquatch activity for the better part of a century now. And it reminds me of Albert Ostman's old story where he alleges he was kidnapped for about a week by a Sasquatch clan and had to use chewing tobacco in order to escape. Do you know the Ostman story?
Oh, I know it well. I researched
how would you like
that,
to share,
that story.
How would you like to share that with us?
Yeah, I mean, so the Osomons story is that he went up into Tobit Inlet and got off and went up and started researching for, I guess, gold minerals, and was hiking up this river, and he started having encounters, and he started putting his gun and everything in his sleeping bag because he was worried about it, and he got picked up in his sleeping bag, carried off, I think it was 25 miles, he estimated, into this valley, into this corridor where these creatures put him down. He hung out with them for a little bit, and then he escaped by giving them coffee and chewing tobacco, and escaped because I guess it burnt the mouth of the creature, and he was able to get away. And I think he shot his rifle. Now, here what we researched, I think that in that story there was a bit of a miss. I don't believe it was Toba Inlet, but I believe it was Jarvis Inlet. And because when I go through the story and through the area, I know the area well, been up there lots, and the valley connects. And I'll have to sit with you, Dave, and show you this, where the valley connects. And at the end of where he said he would have went over the snowpass and came down, there is actually a U-shaped area there that faced Baker Mountain, because he said he could see Baker Mountain from there. And I did the Google thing and looked at it. And I put this out there. If you ever hear of anyone saying that there's an area where you can go to, that came from our research. And there's other people have said, yeah, we know where that could be, and here's this where this can be. In the same area, and it's been logged now too. They put a road up into it. Where he would have come down and stayed at the lake, our logging company, and where he came out and met the Seashell Logging Company, because that's in the book. That area, they went up there and logged it, and that lake they said had an old tent that dated back to that period of time that Osmond would have been there. And I believe that could have been Osmond's tent and Osmond's equipment, because I logged up there, and wow, how he said how he came out, all matched that whole area, and he would have been out at which we call Seashell Inlet now, but just trying to remember of the lakes and the inlets. But anyways, the most important part of the story is it possible that actually happened? And I'll have to tell you, if we took into consideration from Jarvis Inlet, Vancouver Bay, and back into the inlet and Seashell Inlet, yes, that story is true.
Is there something about the salt water that attracts them, or is it water sources in general, considering that a lot of these creatures are seen near lakes, near the ocean, near streams, rivers? I realize they need water to survive. That's only obvious. But are there more towards the west where the ocean is, or are we finding them more inland?
That's a really good question. We've had great success where there was no water, and we've had good success where there has been water. We feel in our research, that they live in family groups. And again, the first people that ever come out about that has been us. That nobody really talked about that for a very long time until we came out, and then Matt Moneymaker put it out there to some university students and stuff, that they live in family groups. But, nobody can explain it entirely like we can. Now, the water situation, when they move and they travel, they use the train of the land. They just don't walk on. I've heard this many times, and this is completely wrong. People will say, well, they'll use an old road, they'll walk on it, and they'll be there. The only reason they go there to an old road would be because of food source, period. Deer, elk, salamanders, frogs, whatever is there that they will eat. The only reason they're using that road is because of food source. And that's where they get caught seen. We did a research in Half Moon Bay where we never saw the creature on the road, but the creature was always on the upper side of that road. And when I went in there and studied it, we could see the game trail traveling along that road. And every source went up into a valley to where there was some kind of a water source, some kind of a lake, and more, we know that animals, and very large animals, especially, we hunt around here, moose in the beginning of the season. First thing is you go in high country and you go to lakes and ponds to really track down the moose. Well, same with these guys. I mean, they need water. A large animal, you can imagine the heat in the summer. We found them bedding down along the lakes for coolness and stuff like that. But again, the food source was the big thing. And that food source, when you study those areas, what they're eating in there, you're getting natural onions, you're getting natural chives, you're getting little mini, we call it a rice, but there's different plants. There's starches within those swamps. But again, when they move in these valleys. They're hidden away. They're unseen. They're unheard. People say so many times, well, they're so quiet. Well, it's not that they're so quiet. I've heard Sasquatches be so noisy and try to get away or try to move around you, but they're stepping on everything. They're breaking things. I mean, we used to have a laugh. We'd be really silent. We'd hide. These creatures would come to find us, and they would move really quietly, slowly, but then they would step on a stick and break it, and we'd start chuckling. We thought it was funny because now we knew exactly where they were at, and yet they were looking for us. So in the water thing, again, like I said, again, I think it's just for food and for drinking, and when you're traveling, it's like anyone when you're hiking. You're always going to fill your canteen, and you're always going to you're going to go to that creek, right? Anyway, sorry, exactly. Dave, I might have took too long.
We got about 90 seconds here before we're going to go to break at the top of the hour. A lot of First Nations people in this province will say that you don't find Sasquatch. Sasquatch finds you. Almost like Sasquatch is allowing you to see them. Do you believe in that theory?
Yeah, I do. I really do. I'll give you a little story here, a quick story. We had a lady come to me, didn't have nothing to do with Sasquatch, and she's in Langdale, and she's coming to go down to the ferry terminal. She knew where we lived, and it was 12 o'clock in the afternoon. This creature runs across the road, and she says to us, this creature ran so fast it was like an Olympic sprinter. And she said she thought it was a human, but she said it was covered in all fur. It was brown. And so I took her to the Patterson film, and I showed her the Patterson film, and she started crying. She was from Australia. She had no clue what Sasquatch was. And she started crying. She said, that's what I just saw. And to me, she wasn't looking for it. It found her. And she became so interested in it. And
right.
I still think to this day she still researches it.
Robert, I'm going to get you to hold on because I want to ask you a couple more questions in regards to that when we get back from break. We also got a few questions building up in our chat rooms for you. We're talking British Columbia Sasquatch tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Our guest, Robert Kennedy. We're going to find out more about British Columbia Sasquatch. How do you find one? We'll find out right after, so make sure you stay tuned. Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows.
On the
UFOs,
first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacey, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching. Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother Is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother Is Watching.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow night on the show, Chad Meek joins us to talk about the greatest UFO story never told. We get going at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Hi to everyone listening in on KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, and in Noonan, Georgia, WQEE 99.1 FM on the digital side. Hi to everyone listening in on Revolution Radio and Deep Talk Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Autochthonus. Autochthonus is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have it under construction right now as we are building it bigger and better for you. And it'll be up in a couple of weeks. Tonight we are talking British Columbia Sasquatch, the big hairy beast running around the entire almost million square kilometer province of British Columbia. And joining us tonight is Robert Kennedy, who's been researching Sasquatch since he was 16 years old. Robert, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Dave. Thanks for having me, eh?
Not a problem. We appreciate you coming on in. We really do. There is a great debate in the province of British Columbia between a lot of researchers and the Indigenous First Nations on what Sasquatch is. The First Nations believe around here that it is some sort of interdimensional type wild man that can go in and out whenever it wants from this dimension. And there is people out there who believe that this is a bipedal hominid that could be related to the great apes. It could be something that is related to the Gigantopithecus. Where do you stand on this?
Wow, that's a bit of a loaded question. I tend not to lean on the with the natives there a little bit, but you know, you can only share with what your experiences are and the things that happen, and us being out there a lot of other people. It's like when I take people out, I say, you know, you've got to spend the time to really to know and understand what you're dealing with. So, you know, to say the interdimensional, I struggle with that. But, you know, we've had some weird things take place about that. And it makes me, you know, I just don't go out and tell about it all the time. But there was a time that my wife and I, and we had a couple of people from Alberta that were with us, and, you know, we were making these calls, and we had these 3 Sasquatches that were sitting on this bank watching us, and we could see them moving a little bit as the sun was going down. My wife was on the other side of Chapman Creek, and there's a power line there. We took over the rights of that power line so we could use it as our research area. And they were sitting by this bush, and they heard a loud explosion. And we heard it. It was like a propane tank exploding, but there was no flames, no smoke, no nothing. And that later on that night, me and another fellow, Carlos, went and stayed on that power line that night, and we had some of the greatest experiences, some of the greatest encounters with Sasquatch. Now, can I attribute that explosion sound? Was that an interdimensional? It did pass my mind. I have to be honest. It did pass my mind that that's what took place. But I don't like to go there. Now, Gigantopithecus, could they be that? No, I don't think so. I really don't believe that they are. Some say, Could they be the out of the Bible, the Seppler, or however you want to pronounce that? No, I don't think so either. I think that these creatures are a species of their own. I believe that they are a form of ape. A lot of the problems I believe that they struggle with humans and disease and is all part of flesh and blood. But is there that chance that the natives are right, and natives being spiritual anyways, could this be? And I have to tell you, I don't know, but only can I share what has taken place with us.
So who's right and who's wrong, in your opinion? Or is there any right or wrong?
And I said this, and I still say this. There are people out there that they say they're experts. Well, I'm sorry. And this is where I'll say the right and wrong belongs. There is no expert in the field of Sasquatch or Bigfoot. None. You have professionals that are out there that are experts in the field. Like, you had, you've got, I'm not going to mention names. I don't want to do that. But you got people that are very, very good at what they do. You have people that know about the anatomy of feet. You got people that are biologists that are very good. John, I didn't want to mention names, but John Biggernagle was great at food sources and stuff for Sasquatch. Jeff Meldrum with the analogy of the feet, his hinge foot, dead on. So is there a right or a wrong in the other fields until discoveries are made, until things are truly found out properly? There is no right. There is no wrong. Hey, listen, here's a good story. I'm in my campground. I'm in my Dodge. I'm falling asleep, and I feel like there's this electricity all over my body. I look out the window. One of the campers are hiding behind his vehicle, and I say, "Everything okay?" And he says, "There's something in the bush. There's something in the bush." Now, some will say, that we're being held back by something that the Sasquatch was emitting. Could that have happened? I don't know, but I had that experience. I don't go out there and say to every researcher, "This is what it is. I'm being infrasounded," and this is one of these things that went on for quite a while. That everybody that went out on an expedition had been infrasounded, or Sasquatch could infrasound, like crocodiles or elk or elephants, and we don't really know that for sure because there's no scientific proof to it. And to have scientific proof, you got to write 3 term papers, and they got to be tested. And there's nothing out there that's ever been tested in that form of way.
There is also a great debate on whether or not this species should be protected, even though we haven't proven it. Should we be looking at protecting this species just in case it is finally proven and admitted to that it exists?
Well, here's the sad part about Bigfoot research. I brought in some great scientists. Leon Brenet. He's a scientist out of Belgium, and his buddy his teacher and his associate won the Nobel Peace Prize for being a physicist. They have the God matter, the two. They were the first to discover the God matter theory and prove it. So he's been out with me, and he feels that even though we don't have those terms, and he was out there to get those 3 papers done, and he feels that we should have some kind of order in there because there's been enough proof that something exists. What is it? We don't know, but these areas that are being logged out are stripping the habitat and the conservational areas of these creatures, and we're losing that database when it happens. You need every little thing that takes place
in when we research. We need to know the food sources. We need to see the footprints. We need to know where the salamanders, where the vertebrates are. We need to know what type of trees that are growing in this area. We need to know the plant life and what could be they could be eating, what they could not be eating. And these are revisited areas. And if we could have some of these areas saved and held for these creatures, then we could get good data, good information, and maybe have that proper discovery that is needed out there to say, hey, yeah, these creatures do exist. Anyone who's ever gone out into the forest, and I'm compassionate about this, and you probably hear it to me on the radio now, that these creatures have the right of existence within this province. And if we keep going the way we are, we'll never get to that point where we can have that discovery that, yes, they exist. But I tell you, when you go out, Dave, and you see that creature for the first time, you know, no doubt, that this creature does exist. I had a guy come all the way down from northern Alberta. He's a welder. He thought he was going to see a footprint. I have a videotape. I'll let you see it one day. Him and I are playing with a creature. And he's one of those guys that leaves that field not wanting to go home, telling his wife, crying to his wife, it's real. It's real. And that's all he could say. It is really real. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Sorry.
Not a problem. Not a problem. I got a question from Human Carl in the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook. He is asking, Robert, has anyone ever considered that Sasquatch has been purposely playing us, a sort of game of hide and go seek?
What a great question. What a really good question. And I would tell you that, does Sasquatch play with us in the forest? Yes. Do they find us amusing? Yes. Here's a good story. In the campground, I got these two people that are great people. They're staying in Site 14, right by the logging road. There's a creek that comes down. Laura likes to play her guitar at night. We're playing, we're singing, we're having a good time by a campfire. Just the perfect campsite, right? All of a sudden, we stop playing. We hear these knocks. We keep hearing these knocks. Excuse me. I'm going to have a little glass of water here.
No problem.
So Laura starts playing, the knocks stop. Laura stops playing, the knocks start. If you can't tell me that creature wasn't having some fun and being amused with us. Here's another story. My granddaughter, she's sleeping outside with my daughter in the campground, and she's got some, I don't know if it was a native song. She's native, and it's high pitch and it's low pitch, and it's high pitch and it's low pitch. Later on that night at 3 o'clock in the morning, I hear this high pitch, low pitch song, and I'm not contributing this to Sasquatch. I'm thinking campers down at the bottom of the camp are playing around 3 o'clock in the morning. They're disturbing people. I call that campground. I say, hey, you guys got to stop that. They're going to me, no, that's not us. That's no one else in this campground. There's creatures out there, and they're playing this pitch up and down. The next morning, I have this Filipino family that are at the top of the campground in the group site, and they're coming to me and saying, you should have told us that we have Sasquatch, because they saw the creatures and they heard the creatures across the creek that night. And I had another lady in Site 10 that was saying, hey, listen, buddy, next time tell us there's Sasquatch here, because what we heard that night, and the whole campground came to us. And, you know, if that isn't amusement for them, copying what my granddaughter was doing that night, and I'm the researcher. I'm the guy who believes. I'm the guy who says we're studying them. And I didn't even contribute that to Sasquatch. But the whole campsite contributed to me that that was Sasquatch. And most of them didn't believe. And they told me they didn't believe.
All right, let's get to another question. This one comes from Trip. Do you believe that Sasquatch migrates during seasonal and harvesting times?
Now, and again, here's another good question. Do Sasquatch migrate? Now, what is migration to some people? What is it? Is it 100 miles? Is it 200 miles? Is it 300 miles? I believe that they have a territory of 100 miles, one family. I do not believe that they migrate. I believe the family stays there all year long. When it gets cold, wetty snow on the coast, they go into a bit of an area where they're sheltered, and they conserve themselves with food, conserve themselves with moving, not to burn energy, not to use all that up. Now, can I prove that? No, I can't. I can't prove that. But all I can say is by our experiences again, yes, this is what's taking place. February in the campground was a great time of movement. Did they do the things that they did in the summer? Did they do the things they did in the spring starting April? No. Did they go higher into the mountains during May, during June to have their young? Yes. Did we go into the areas where they would go and find them there? Yes. Excuse me, I got an itchy throat again. Is that migration? I don't believe it is. Some people might say it is. In a smaller scale, sure, possibly. But I believe, that they had a territory of 100 miles. And we found that when they crossed their territories, or when the rogue male left the families, they would cross and maybe start another harem or whatever it was, or another family. I got some dust or something in here, so excuse me with the coughing.
It's a Sasquatch hair all around you. You're allergic.
Maybe.
You're allergic, my friend.
Oh, man. So, do they migrate in a small scale? Maybe yes. On a big scale, no.
Kevin is wondering, well, you never know if it's Kevin or Kevin's beard, because he's got one heck of a beard. He's wondering what your opinion is on the Patterson-Gimlin film.
You know, I really never really gave it a thought of my opinion, or did I have a right of an opinion to it? Is the creature there in that film real? Without a doubt, it's real. I've seen the creature. I'll take a lie detector test to tell you that I've seen the creature. And no, there's some people that want to say, no, that film is not real. It's a bogus. It's a hoax. No, I don't think Gimli, today being still alive, would hold on to all these years to that. I think that I haven't met him myself, but I know people that have met him, and he's a genuine guy, a truthful man. So, yeah, no, by what we have again seen, and I've studied the film. Oh, yeah, I've studied the film and looked at Patty, and one of the things I say to people where they don't talk about it a lot, and don't get me wrong here, being rude, but if you look at an older woman, she has a typical bum, and older women have this typical bum. And you look on Patty and the way she's shaped from her back down to her bum, it's typical of like a woman, an older woman. Now, you cannot mistake in the calf muscles. And what caught me on there too was the size of her padded feet. And I've used that a lot and said, if these creatures are quiet in the forest, it is because of those feet absorbing the sound of what it's walking on. Because I believe that probably the layer there has got to be at least 2 inches or more of fat. And if you look on grizzly bears, they are so quiet at times. And when they walk, sometimes they're unheard of. But again, I did a test with my wife. And my wife, I said to her, make sure that you can hear me. And I put on fly shoes, fly boots for fly fishing. That when you walk on the rocks to grab the rocks and stuff. And they have good padding on them. And I was able to move through the forest and sneak up on her because of those boots.
Interesting. We only got about 2 minutes here before we got to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Robert Kennedy is our guest tonight talking British Columbia Bigfoot. Tripp is asking, with Bigfoot investigation becoming so popular, Robert, how do you go about figuring out whether or not calling out or wood knocking and the responses you get aren't actually coming from other people?
And that's the scary thing, Dave, today, is that there's so many people now aware of what these creatures are doing. When we were doing it, nobody knew in that day that these creatures would knock. Nobody knew. And when we started knocking to them, we were one of the first to do it. Now, I can't say that there were other people out there wood knocking, and we were the only people doing it. I mean, North America is a large place. But the thing is that there are so many people out there. I had to get my thought together there. There are so many people out there today that you got to be so careful. And it's like now the Sunshine Coast, Sechelt, Gibson, Pender Harbor, Egmont area. These are all the areas that I worked in for a lot of years. And up Sechelt Inlet, the Christian Bible Camp, Half Moon Bay, Secret Cove, are now so compacted with people, and people are aware of what's going on at times now with watching the shows, reading on the internet. You got to be really careful. And for me, there's new areas that I want to go into that I'm not going to give over the radio here now. But I think they're really good. They're going to be really great areas because they're uninhabited. There's not many people in these areas, and we're going to have an easier time to be able to interact with the Sasquatch. You see, and again, the big thing is how many times are there people out there calling? How many times are there other people at the lake knocking now? And we have a sound.
Hey, Robert, you hold on. Robert, you hold on. We're going to skip out for our break at the bottom of the hour. Robert Kennedy talking Sasquatch. How do you find this creature? Let's find out right after this.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thaw, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you along for the ride. Remember, if you've missed any part of this show or others, you can go find them for free on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website currently under construction as we're redoing it all for you, so stay tuned. It's a couple weeks away. British Columbia Sasquatch. The big, hairy Bigfoot roaming around Canada's westernmost province. Literally everywhere this creature is being sighted, by the ocean, inland, by the Rockies, up north in the frozen tundra. It is everywhere. Researcher Robert Kennedy is with us tonight. Robert, welcome back to the show.
Dave, thanks for having me. I'm having fun.
Me too.
You're really giving me a bit of a drive here. I told you I was.
Well, you know what? I gotta I gotta tell this story first before you give a shout out again. All right, because when I first talked to Robert, he said he was retired, not doing the Sasquatch thing, and about 45 minutes into our conversation, I said, "I'm bringing you back. You're not going to have a choice," and he laughed at me. Well, guess what? We're going to pull his ass right back out to the bush. We really are. I could feel it. You're coming with us, Robert. You're coming with us.
So all I wanted to say was my wife just walked in the room, so just say hi to her, and
yes,
she's in the room with us, and she's got a lot of great stories. She was the one who said I was an idiot for even doing Sasquatch, and Sasquatch didn't exist, and she's standing by the bush, and she's almost, not even 20 feet away from this thing, face to face, like. The next morning, to prove the fact that it was there, I got the neighbor and said, "Here's the footprint. It was right by the tree. Here's where she was standing." It all equaled up. It all came together the way it should have. So anyways,
nice.
My wife is a firm believer now, and she's been beside me all the way, especially in the campground. Anyways.
Wonderful.
I'll let you back. I'll give it back to you, Dave. Sorry about that.
Not a problem. Hi, Mrs. Kennedy, listening on in. Come on over for coffee anytime. You know where SOR headquarters is. That works for us. That totally works for us. But moving on here, do you find that most of your research takes place during the day or night? Because there's a great debate whether or not this creature is more active in being nocturnal than during the daylight time.
Okay, so there's a debate about this. And yes, they are more nocturnal at night. Yes, they're moving around. But I'm going to tell you why. Because they're hunting. They're not just dilly-dilly traveling around having fun. They're serious. And they're out hunting. And during the day, we've had better encounters because they're not hunting. They've been bedded down somewhere. They're resting through the sunlight in the middle of the afternoon, and we've come up on them or we've called them and they've come up to answer us. And there's two parts to this. We've had some great encounters during the night, but we've had some serious situations during the night too, because they're, it's like going out to the ocean and seeing killer whales playing with their young, or going out to the ocean and seeing them in the middle of a hunt and taking a dolphin or a seal, tossing it, teaching. These guys are doing not the same thing as a whale is doing or a killer whale is doing, but they're teaching, they're hunting, and there's a serious note about it. And I'm not saying that there's more encounters either way, but we've had some great encounters because they're not hunting, and we've had some good interactions because they are hunting. So a lot of times too, they'll stay away. I mean, there was this one time we come down to Carlson Creek, and there's a windstorm, and they're in the creek getting salmon, and here they're knocking, and they start screaming at me like, "Don't come any closer, don't come to." And they didn't want to be bothered. And this is just at the set at night. But we've had them where they're bedded down. Me and another fellow, Zoli, we were sitting there, and we're calling them, and here they are calling back to us and coming up out of the ravine to see who they are. I mean, we literally tricked them. They thought we were Sasquatches, and they come out to see where we are. They came probably 50 yards, half a football field from us, and basically found out who we were, bedded down. There was another one on the other side, same thing, came, found out who we were, bedded down. They never left the area. They just stayed there. And anyway, so there it is.
So if you were to tell someone who wants to go out and look for this creature, daytime or nighttime, what are you going with? What are you telling a rookie investigator?
I'm telling a rookie investigator, go during the daytime. Don't think that you're going to miss and not have an encounter during the day. But you're going to have to really research and really find out where the creature is at hand. Now, the forest is a big area. Terrain can be up and down, or there could be valleys and stuff. You could be right on top of them and not even know they were there. Another fellow we were with, it was at nighttime. We're walking through a creek and coming up the other side. We hear this horrendous stomp. It was no more than probably another 10 or 15 feet beside us. Freaked us both out. We didn't even know the creature was there. And he didn't stomp until we were up on the upper part of the creek. And it was a road, and it was at nighttime. But like I said, that's the only part where during the daytime, I mean, it was a better encounter. I mean, with Tom Rue, we're sitting on the edge of the log roads during the day. This is like probably 4:00 in August. The mosquitoes are just starting to come out, and these creatures start knocking on either side of us. They both come together on the one side. They walk through this valley. They come up on the other side of the valley, come to the edge of the road further away from us. They have totally avoided us until they got to the edge of the road. And when they got to the edge of the road, they knocked. They made some calls back and forth to each other. They crossed the road and went down off into the lake. So for the guy who's starting out, because you can see what's around you, study the area you're in, look for what is needed in the habitat, and know if it's the right words, ecology, but know what is around you, know the food sources, and you're going to know your habitat, know where the logging is taking place, know where the cabins are, and know where the people are camping. So many creatures stay on the edge of the forest during the daytime, bed down, that if you travel that edge of that forest in logging slashes, you're bound to startle something up. My wife, here's another, in that area in Roberts Creek. After the loggers are gone, after the protesters are gone, we go back in there, and I have my wife sitting in the van with the kids. And I go down the end of the road to do some knocks. And while I'm knocking, I'm hiding behind a logging woodpile that the trees are laid down there. And all of a sudden, this white creature rises up out of the middle of the logging slash in front of my wife. And she sees the creature. And I heard him knocking on a wood that was on the ground or wherever it was. And I couldn't see him from my vantage point. But that creature thought that I was the only person there and got up, even though the van was visual, still got up during the daytime and moved.
What is the purpose of the wood knocking? Have you been able to figure that out?
Yes. Now, I'm not saying we're totally 100% right, but lucky enough to be when we lived in our trailer that we had in Selma Park. It's funny. I laugh when I think about it. What's that, Deb? Yeah, my wife says we had a relationship. I laugh because we were feeding chicken and tomatoes to these creatures, and they were taking it. They were taking food. Now you could say, "Wow, was it a bear? Was it wolves? Was it other animals?" Yeah, you could say that would have taken place, but because of the relationship, they were taking that food. And what was taking place is that they would come down at a certain hour. They knew that we would throw this chicken or tomatoes out into the forest over our balcony, from our balcony across the road. And they would hear a car come up the road. And one would be on the point of that road. And they would knock. Now, it could be female, could have been a male. We don't know. But they would knock, and the others would return the knock. And when that car went by and came by the second set, that knock would take place again, and the other one would return. And it worked vice versa. So when the car came back down, the knock would happen. And then when the car was gone, the other one would knock back. And when they were moving in the forest and hunting, there was a combination of knocks. And they would use these combination of knocks to knock and to move and to be able to surround a deer. I mean, we heard them on a couple occasions really getting a hold of a deer, killing a deer. Now, you could say that could have been coyotes, that could have been wolves, that could have been a bear. Yeah, but we didn't have any of the other contributed sounds or signs that would have went with those animals. We had the knocks. We had the gibberish. We had things that contributed to them. And then we had the kills, too. There was a time that we came to a kill on the side of the road. They were knocking to each other on the side of the road to say, hey, that guy's there. Don't go out and touch that deer until he leaves. Well, because I touched that deer stayed there. But a conservation officer arrived where that deer was one day, and I drove up, and he asked me, and he got really serious with me. He says, what are you doing here? I said, I come to check that deer out. What deer? I said, the deer over there that you were looking at. And he says, how do you know about that deer? I said, I've been here several times. I said, hey, do you believe in Sasquatches? I said, we know that deer could have been hit by a car, but there's no trauma, no blood coming out of its nose. It has a broken neck. It has rigor mortis. It's been here from this day to this day. I said to him, the maggots are beginning to eat it from the ass end, normal. And he's like listening to me. He knows what I was talking about. And as we're talking, boom, boom. And I said, dude, would you like to come with me and check those knocks out? And he's shaking his head going, no. How do you know about these creatures? And I said, if you know me and talk to any of your other colleagues, you'll know who I am. And I says, write your report. Go talk to them. I don't have any guns. You don't need to give me any more hassle. Just listen to what I'm saying and know this is one of our areas that we research and that we have had these encounters. It was funny. Anyways.
Good buddy of mine, Mike, who you will meet here, he helps me out with a lot of Sasquatch. He was talking to a conservation officer a couple years ago where the conservation officer said, "Oh yeah, we all know what's going on. However, if we want to keep our jobs, we shut up about it." Have you ever heard that from conservation officers regarding Sasquatch?
No, I haven't. But I did have a conservation officer come and look for me. He's out of the Powell River District. He heard about me. He heard that we had some scientists up. He was in an area trying to capture Klein Lake area. He was trying to catch these guys fishing without licenses, and he was hidden. And again, this is during the day. It's in a well-forested area. He had to walk in about a mile and a half to get to the lake, and he's sitting there and he's hiding. And guess what shows up? He watches a Sasquatch pick up a rock and throw the rock into the lake, a boulder, not a small rock, a boulder. And he had to come and find me to tell me that. And where he found us was me and my wife were sitting in McDonald's with our children eating, and someone, I guess, had told him that we were in there, and he came in, and I saw him, and I got this weird feeling that he wanted to talk to me because it's the way he was acting, like he was looking around trying to find someone, and I just said, "Hey, are you looking for somebody? Are you looking for a guy named Rob?" And he says, "Yeah." And I said, "Sasquatch?" He says, "Yeah." And he came and he sat down and he talked to me for about 2.5 hours. And we got him to put his testimony on a film, the documentary we did for the small film, In the Heart of the Forest with the Sasquatch. And he is part of that film, giving his testimony over the phone to the scientists of what took place.
Intriguing. I got a couple questions here. Joe is asking, have you ever heard Sasquatch make any noises that sound like an owl?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a really good question. Yes and no. And the reason I say no, can Sasquatch mimic other animals in the forest? And I'll say this to you. A native that lived on the land in the old days, could he mimic the animals of the forest? Yes. We would be fools to say no. There is a debate out there that say yes and no, and there's an argument. It's a foolish argument. I've heard Steenberg argue this point with the BFRO, and I've heard it so many times that it makes me angry. It sickens me because it's foolish to say that they can't when they can. And I also will say and add to this, the animals reverse this. An owl, and in our research, and I tell you, this is really good. When we make Sasquatch sounds, we have the owls, we have the hawks, we have the woodpeckers. Yes, woodpeckers come to us. I had my nephew out in Half Moon Bay, and we could hear the Sasquatch ripping apart the stump. We couldn't see him. We could hear him. Now, you can argue the point. Are you sure that was a Sasquatch? And those are arguable. I can't, say that that's not an arguable point. But here, what I showed my nephew was this. I said to my nephew, Johnny, I said, listen, we're going to sit here on the road up above this stump. He doesn't know that we're here, or she doesn't know that we're here. But we're going to mimic that Sasquatch down there. Make a call. The Sasquatch is going to stop what it's doing and watch what that woodpecker does. We did that. The woodpecker flew to us and landed in the tree with a branch where I could almost put my hand up to. That's how close that woodpecker came. Now, how many times has that happened? That a woodpecker would just come to human beings. Do they fly around us and eating bugs? Yes, that all happens. But after we make a sound like that, come on.
I hear where you're going. We got about 2.5 minutes left. We're going to get to Tripp's question here. He is asking, Have you collected any scat samples, and what do you do with your evidence? Now, for the record, you did take a number of years off here recently to just kind of clear your brain because of a lot of the politics that were happening within Bigfoot research.
Yeah, I did. I didn't like it. I still don't like it. I would be the first to come against it. I don't like to. I don't even have an interest to go down to a lot of these gatherings. Not saying that there's bad people. There's great people there. I have a lot of friends in the Bigfoot world. At the same time, I also, in the position I was in, excuse me, with some authority at church and stuff like that, I really got a hard time. There's controversy there, so I stepped away. I kind of, you know, excuse me, I got that dust coming back. Yeah, it's a tough one, Dave. There's a lot of good researchers out there. There's a lot of good-hearted people out there. But at the same time, in the politics of things, and you know, people want to. And don't get me wrong here. I'm not trying to cut anyone down because that's further from my personality. But there's a lot of people that want to be seen and known, and we call them brash polishers. You know, I'm going to polish my buttons, and hey, and they share things that doesn't do the field any good, and that's what upsets me. And I don't want to be associated with that, because when we share what we share, we want people to come out with us and to see if we're telling the truth and to know that we're telling the truth, because they will have those encounters. Now, I'm giving out areas where most researchers will not give out.
Right,
I'm giving
and we'll
these
get to
areas
that
out now.
And we'll get to them right after the break. Robert Kennedy, Sasquatch researcher out of the province of British Columbia, joining us tonight. We got him for another 30 minutes before we get to the SOR Newswire and Thought of the Dave. Hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio coming up next.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR, where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com, where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com, and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacey, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you along for the ride. Tomorrow night on the show, we got Chad Meek coming in. He's going to tell an incredible UFO story starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates, KDUN, AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, KZFX, 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, WQEE, 99.1 FM in Newnan, Georgia, and UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. On the digital side, hi to everyone listening in on Revolution Radio and Deep Talk Radio. Thanks for having us. Don't forget, if you missed any part of our show, our archives are on youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website has a lot of construction going on right now. We are rebuilding it for you, so make sure you check it on out. Brand new look coming up in the next couple of weeks. Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Autochthonous. I totally butchered that. Autochthonous is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. We are talking Sasquatch tonight on Spaced Out Radio. And here we are with Robert Kennedy, who's been researching the big hairy beast since literally he was 16 years old. We got to get him back in the forest with us. Definitely. I've already voted you in on my team, Robert. I'm putting you on the spot. You're coming back out with us. Coming out of retirement, my friend, to go look for Sasquatch.
Well, you know, Dave, there's some good areas that I'd love to take you into. And I'm not going to mention those areas because I want to get in there because they're raw. And yes. If you're going to pull me back into this, I want to scare the hell out of you. You know, because once you have had that experience, not that you're just being frightened and you know you think your life is in danger. Once you know for a fact there is no other possibility that they exist, you're not going to be able to stop yourself. I mean, you know, I'm compassionate about it. I'm really am compassionate about it. And it really bothers me that there's just such a debate and such a thing out there that people just want to be known and wants to be the next Rogers and Gimla. And no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You got to spend the time. You got to have the compassion. And if you don't spend that time out there, you're not going to get the results. You're not going to be able to speak. And I challenge people that, you know, I've given you areas. I'll give you the rest of the areas tonight. You go out there and do the thing that we tell you to do and come back and tell us that we're wrong. You won't be able to do it. And I challenge people to do that.
Well, we're definitely going to be doing that, my friend, because I've got a few spots already in the Caribou region that need to be investigated. We got to get you out there with us to show it how it's done. I want to get back to Tripp's question here because you kind of went off on a little tangent, which we admitted during the break, and it's in regards to evidence. What kind of evidence have you collected, and have you sent it to any scientists?
Yes. Cambridge University has some evidence. Texas A&M has some evidence of ours. Data, poop samples. Yes, we have some DNA that has come off the poop sample. Some teeth marks that have come off the evidence. Cambridge. That's England. My wife's correcting me. But they're in their DNA banks. The Cambridge stuff hasn't come back, and Leon has wondered why it hasn't come back. I wish that Leon was on this. He could probably give some more information about that. What was shocking about the poop, we have a lady that would see these creatures come down to the ocean. She never talked about it. I learned this afterwards. After we collected DNA samples, the poop sample. But she would see these creatures come down and eat the clams and eat the oysters and whatever else on the ocean in this little tiny inlet. And there was other houses around. So there's more people. We know there's more people that saw them. But what was shocking to me is we're about 4 or 5 miles from the beach in the campground. We know that we had these knocks and rocks that were thrown in the campground, and it was a guy in a car that drove along the log road and said, "Hey guys, there's a really odd lump of poo on the side of the road. You guys should check that out." They didn't even know we were researching Bigfoot. He just made that mention. But we just had this encounter. And so where the creature went through the forest, and when he got to the road, there was this lump of poo. And in the lump of poo was all these oysters and gooey ducks and what's that, Dev? Clam necks and stuff. And they were bitten. And they were bitten like you and I that have front teeth. And they weren't torn up or crushed up. They were like they were bitten and bitten off by your front teeth. And that, to me, I like, wow. I've seen bear scat before. I've seen through the, garbage, berries. Nothing ever came up like this. And another evidence was, and you can see this stuff online. There's later on, Dave, you can put it on your website, and they can look it up. But Leon and another fella, Cordell, Cape Coudray, yeah, thanks, Deb. Philip Coudray, woke up and they opened their tent to find this stick pointing at their tent. Now here's a lightning shot, 1,000,000 chance of winning the lottery. That morning they walked through a trail trying to figure out what just had taken place, why this stick was there, and it had dust on it. And they came through this trail, and when they got through the other side of this game trail, there was another stick that was laying there. And how could this be where the two ends of the sticks met up together, where it was broken and fitted together, and the dust lined up? It's just bizarre that would just happen just accidentally or out of a 1 out of 1,000,000 chance, right? Footprints. We have no problem collecting the evidence of footprints. We like to use Meldrum's theory on the hinge foot. A lot of our footprints are on logs, impressions. Not always do you get a clear footprint. You get impressions. It all. Hey, listen, it's up, down, sideways. A lot of times you get impressions of a side foot. Have we cast them? Yes. Have they shown up? Yes. Have they shown up the lines, the fingerprints on the feet in the way that they're supposed to be? Yes. But what we are looking for mostly is that hinge mark, your wrinkle on your hand. We see that when we cast them. We see that in the footprint, and that's something. We do some feeding. We have done some feeding programs. Charles, that was from England, was putting buckets of apples on a line, and this one night, this is a great story. The bucket of apples, the bucket was there, the apples were all gone. The next morning, there was a stick, a rock, and a sponge right beside his tent. Now, again, you could say that was somebody who was fooling around and was playing with him. Yeah, I agree. That could have happened. But, that expedition, there in that same area, there were footprints. And we always like to say this: if you have some kind of encounter, there has to be evidence, other evidence that these creatures are here and these creatures are moving in this area. And that's from our tree structures to footprints to to different things, to poop. Me and Ricardo, we picked up this really grassy green poop. Now, this could have been bear poop. We never did get it tested, but it was odd. It was human-shaped. It was long. It was big, and it was left in this area where these stick structures were made in a round and like a wagon wheel. We called it the wagon wheel stick structure, but it looked like a wagon wheel on the ground. And here was a tree that had to be probably 20 feet in length that was stuck up in a tree, and the root end was up the tree, and the top was at the bottom, and it was on an angle. No possible way that those trees grew with that tree in there, because that tree still had bark on it, and it was stuck. The roots were up in the air. Yes, the tree was rotten. The root structure was rotten. How did it get up into the trees in the air?
Intriguing. Very intriguing.
Yeah.
In regards to...
Very intriguing.
There's a lot of people out there, Robert, who claim that Sasquatch is nearly impossible to try and photograph. We've tried trail cams, and it seems like every time a Sasquatch comes by, the frames either go black or there's some sort of white orbs, or any video out there is blurry, like almost like it has some sort of way to camouflage itself or blur itself in front of technology. Have you ever thought about this and why this is happening?
Yeah, we've taken many pictures, had many game cams out there. We've got hairy arms. We actually even got a hand one time in front of the camera. Nothing that you can say. And we don't like putting them out there. Like, we have a lot of things that we don't put out there because, again, it's skepticism, being skeptical, and people have that right. You want solid proof. You really do. I have several pictures that have been taken across lakes that have Sasquatch in them. But the game cam thing, all that started back when the BFO started out the cameras and got the funding for those cameras. And we haven't been able to figure that out. Is it the camera? We know that deer and bears are always looking at the camera, so there's something about that they can hear them. Now, the hearing on these creatures, are they where are they hearing from? What decibels can they hear? I've had traps where there's no lights, no electricity, no equipment on, and I've had them I had a trap area where they could enter into, but they won't enter into that trap. And so I'm out there and I can't turn the trap on. And I thought I got it cornered. I got it better than everybody else. And I got some expensive equipment that was out there, and I couldn't get them to go into that trap area. But during the day, I could be out there with another guy, sitting there making funny noises, banging on trees, getting these guys riled right up and ready to go to battle with me. And I go hide behind the stump, and they're coming. They're looking for us. And we can start laughing. We think it's funny. I mean, but could we get them into that trap area? They knew. They just had that ability, that sixth sense. But like I said, here's Laura playing a guitar, and they're on the other side of the creek, and they come right. Hey, if we had a camera in that area, what could we have gotten? We captured a thermal image of a creature that was crouching down, and we got a really good thermal image. And the scientists, they took pictures of me with the thermal camera just to make sure that it wasn't me. And this picture's as good as John Green's Sasquatch that he captured walking up to the trail in Carolina. But it's a still, it's not a movie. And we have another thermal camera picture of that's far, far away of a creature following elk in the forest and coming through a creek and coming into a field that was logged in the grass. But how many times did I have a camera? How many times did I have a voice recorder? Me and Ricardo are sitting in our vehicles, and we hear these two Sasquatch screaming at each other. And all I can explain is they're like lions, like roaring lions. I thought the Sasquatches were beating up each other. My wife could hear the roar a mile and a half, 2 miles away at my house. And we're no more than 20 feet away from these creatures and behind broom that grows crazily wild on the coast on a power line. And the door cracked open a little bit. And I'm too scared to push that recorder to record the sound because it goes boop, and these creatures leave the area, bang on the telephone poles, or not the telephone poles, the hydro poles, and Ricardo, he's just like totally flipping out, like he's already had his coffee beans and he's heightened and he can't believe what's happening to him. So are they aware of electronics? Can they pick the signals up? When we're further away, I've been able to record sounds and stuff that they're doing down in a creek, like bashing rocks on a creek wall. And the only thing I could say that they're doing down there is they're stunning the salmon so they can grab them. It's you got to be pretty quick. And these guys aren't Superman, but you got to be pretty quick to catch a salmon in a creek. But it makes sense if you're banging large rocks on a side of a cavern. Is that shockwave stunning the fish in the water? I got people coming up out of the creek area, Chapman Creek area, going, I don't know what that sound is, but let's get out of here. And I'm sitting on the edge laughing with my camera, recording them and hearing the sounds in the background.
That is just insane.
It is. I mean, you got to say, is this guy filling us with a line? But it's all true. And these are things you don't hear out there as much as, you get these shows and stuff out there. And I'm not trying to knock them. Guys are doing good stuff. But the stuff that we've been able to get and listen to and have encounters and experience, it's just been, you talk to most of the people who've been out with us, they'll tell you. Yeah, no,
I do have to ask you, though, because we only got about 4.5 minutes left. Dr.
Really?
John
That's gone out.
Bindernagel, yeah, fast, eh? Dr. John Bindernagel was, when I talked to him, and I had the opportunity and the pleasure to meet him only once in May of 2015. And one of the things I remember in our conversation was how he hated this new term, Squatch. And watching him get kind of down and depressed about that term and what it had done to kind of make a little bit of a mockery of Sasquatch Research. I made a motto that we'd never use that term on this show as part of our Bigfoot or Sasquatch type or cryptid type shows. What's your thoughts on that?
I think he's right. John was a decent fellow. He was compassionate, and he put a lot of time. He put a career online. You know, he could have probably done quite a bit better in his biology and stuff if he didn't go and do what he did. So yeah, no, I think out of respect, I think really there's too much of this fallacies out there. There's too much putting a play to it, you know, making it into a cartoon image. And that's what it does, you know. The Olympics in 2010, you know, Ouchie and Scotchy, and I didn't like it. You know, my wife wants me to share. We only got 4.5 minutes, and you know, I'm compassionate. I remember. I mean, I might even cry here when I tell you this story. You know, there was. I'm choking up
2
already.
minutes. We got 2 minutes, my friend.
I'll tell you this story. You know, we heard this baby, a little girl sound, for weeks in the campground. One day it was gone. The next day, for weeks, we heard moaning, loud. We knew the baby died. We had such a relationship and such a trust within that campground with these creatures. Excuse me. That, you know, how can you come out of that making it think it's second class or it's just a fallacy? We know, I'll leave you with this tonight. We know without a shadow of doubt they're real. And that one experience captures your heart. I have a recording out there that I met Moneymakers here where we got a Sasquatch, a coyote, and a big old Sasquatch, and a little girl crying. We're pretty sure she was bit. And the roar that came from that. These are living families that are alive and well out there. And we put so much time and energy and years into this to know what we're talking about and to understand what we're talking about. And there's so much more. We're going to have to do another segment one day to share even more. Excuse me, sorry.
I agree with you, my friend. I really do. And, you know, I know that you have kind of put your research away for the last couple of years, but I'm telling you, we got to get you back in the forest. I think you got a lot to offer and a lot to teach. And I know my crew and we're going to be pretty excited to learn from you. That's for sure.
Well, there is a lot, Dave, and I appreciate and I thank you for inviting me to come on your show and to be able to share these stories and give a good picture of what's going on here and to really give people, I want people to be excited. And, you know, there's no expert out there, but who's gonna find that next evidence that's going to help the field and the research so that it's not a laughing matter. It's not a big joke in the media, and that it's people just look at you and turn their heads and walk away. That they take you seriously in this field.
I hear you there. Robert Kennedy, thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight. What a pleasure to have you talk about some of the stories and experiences you've had with the British Columbia Sasquatch. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Day. Stay tuned for more Spaced Out Radio as we take this thing home.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social media freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything is an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Remember, if you've missed most of this show and others, you can check out our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, currently under construction, we're bringing in a brand new look in just a couple of weeks, so please stay tuned for that. Now, it's time to get to the weird, the wacky, the WTF in the news of the night with the SOR Newswire, brought to you by our news director, Captain Shirk, and Paranoia Magazine. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the news at the back end of every show. And we've got some great stories for you tonight. Let's get to it. This is an important one. If you go to political.com, they have been on one of the forefronts of the UFO watch ever since the To the Stars Academy came out. Well, they have a story here that's very, very important, as they have found out that the United States Navy is currently drafting up new guidelines for pilots and other personnel to report encounters with unidentified aircraft. Now, this previously unreported move is in response to a series of sightings of unknown, highly advanced aircraft intruding on Navy strike groups and other sensitive military formations and facilities. The service from the Navy's told Politico, there have been a number of reports of unauthorized and or unidentified aircraft entering various military-controlled ranges and designated airspace in recent years. For safety and security concerns, the Navy and the Air Force take these reports very seriously and investigates each and every report. The report added, as part of this effort, the Navy is updating and formalizing the process by which reports of any such suspected incursions can be made to the cognizant authorities. A new message to the fleet that will detail steps for reporting is in the draft. This is unbelievable. This is the United States Navy, after denying for so many years that they knew nothing about UFOs, Well, they're now admitting that they have it. They have the information. They have the videos. They have the eyewitness testimony from pilots and other people. This is incredible. It really is. Don't worry, though. The Navy says it's not endorsing the idea that its sailors have encountered alien spacecraft. Of course not. Can't come out and say that, can we? But it is acknowledging there have been enough strange aerial sightings by credible and highly trained military personnel that they need to be recorded in the official record and studied, rather than dismissed as some kooky phenomena from the realm of science fiction. Now, according to this report, for years, not knowing what to do with the information, the Navy was just throwing out the reports. Officials say in response to requests for information from congressional members and staff, Navy officials have provided a series of briefings by senior naval intelligence officials as well as aviators who reported hazards to aviation safety. Now, the Navy has declined to identify who has been briefed, nor would it provide more details on the guidelines for reporting that they are being drafted for the fleet. The Air Force did not immediately respond either. This is a big story. Very, very big story, ladies and gentlemen. The Navy is starting to take this very seriously and going public with it. Now, I doubt they're going to give some information. Like, we're not all of a sudden going to turn on the tube and find out that the USS Ronald Reagan had a run-in with a mile-long UFO craft. We're not going to see that. But the fact that they are announcing that they are now creating the process on how to record these sightings, very, very large. This is what Grant Cameron was recently alluding to, that something big was coming in the mainstream press. The other interesting response to this will be how much of the mainstream press really pick up this story. A New York teen who's 18 years old is suing Apple for $1 billion. $1 billion. Got to put your pinky to your mouth for that. After its Orwellian facial recognition surveillance wrongly blamed him for stealing from 3 locations across the country. Ousmane Ba was arrested at his New York home back in November and charged for stealing from Apple stores in Manhattan, Boston, New Jersey, and Delaware. But the photo included with the arrest warrant showed a man that looked nothing like the college student. And one of the thefts in Boston had occurred on the same day that Ba was in Manhattan for his senior prom. Ba has previously lost a learner's permit, which had his name, address, and other personal information, but did not include a photo. The permit also stated that it was not meant for identification purposes. He believes the thief found or stole the permit and then used it as his own identification in Apple stores. The thief was first caught stealing about $1,200 worth of products in Boston in May of last year, then stole from stores in Manhattan, New Jersey, and Delaware, all while being tracked by the company's software. Ba said he only learned about the thefts when he received a Boston Municipal Court summons in June. He was then arrested by the New York Police Department in November. An NYPD detective who assigned to the case examined surveillance footage from the Manhattan store and found that the suspect looked nothing like the teenager. But it's going after $1 billion because that's not enough money for an 18-year-old. Where do they come up with this money? Like, how do you look and say, Apple can afford it, I want to be a billionaire, I'm suing them for $1 billion? You know he's going to sue and probably get his college tuition paid with living expenses and maybe enough for a 1986 Honda hatchback. But $1 billion? I guess the old theory is right. You can always work down, but you can't work back up. Russia may soon decommission the world's most historic launch pad. Site number 1 in Kazakhstan is where it all began in October of 1957. An R-7 missile launched the first satellite, Sputnik, into space. Less than 4 years later, Yuri Gagarin reached orbit from the launch pad, and the first woman in space, Valentina Tereshkova, followed 2 years later. Even today, Russian, American, Canadian, and European and Japanese astronauts also launched from that same site, but they're looking at retiring it, saying maybe it's time to build something a little bit newer and closer to Moscow. Google's Wing gets a green light from the FAA to begin drone deliveries in the United States. That's kind of cool. The precedent which was foreshadowed by the FAA's Unmanned Aircraft System Integration Executive Director Jay Merkel last month is a major step for commercial drones in the U.S., where regulators have been slow to allow widespread usage. Approval of the drones will be operated by a company called Wing, effectively classifies the company as a small aircraft operator, a determination that carries a stringent set of mandatory guidelines. There will be a lot of learning for all of this, since it's a first of its kind. Nobody really knows specifically what the best applications are, says Wing CEO James Ryan Burgess. We think it's actually in partnership with the community, then we'll find the answers together. Uh-oh. I wonder if I'll get drafted here. The president of the Philippines, Rodrigo Duterte, has made threats towards Canada. He's declaring war next week. He's giving us 1 week's notice to take back shipping containers of garbage. So apparently Filipino media outlets are reporting that the threats were made earlier today about dozens of shipping containers filled with Canadian household and electronic garbage that has been rotting in a port near Manila for nearly 6 years. There's more than 100 of the containers that were shipped by a Canadian company between 2013 and 2014, improperly labeled as plastics for recycling. Customs inspectors discovered they actually contained garbage, including soiled adult diapers and kitchen trash. Bad, Canadians. Bad. So apparently Canada has been trying for nearly 6 years to convince the Philippines to just dispose of it, get rid of it. But a Filipino court said, Canada, take your own garbage back. Last week, British Columbia lawyers said in a legal brief that Canada is in violation of the International Basel Convention, which forbids developed nations from sending their toxic or hazardous waste to developing nations without informed consent. I'm having a feeling there's a lot out of Toronto after the Maple Leafs lost in the Stanley Cup playoffs and were knocked out again for the 52nd year in a row. That's where I think it's coming from. Oh, Leafs Elimination Day. How I love it. Finally, did you see that video of the rabbit, the guy dressed in the rabbit costume, beating the hell out of somebody in Florida? Well, Antoine McDonald claimed he hopped into action to help a woman who was being attacked, but it turns out it may have been a fluff piece to unmask his true identity. He's got a nice mustache, by the way. McDonald hailed a hero and got his about 15, maybe 20 seconds of fame after he admitted to being behind the mask and the wiggling nose. But there's a problem. Uh-oh. McDonald has been arrested in 3 different states and had an active warrant for his arrest in New Jersey. Yes. He was wanted in connection with a car burglary in September of last year and becoming a suspect due to his alleged starring role in a different type of video. McDonald and an accomplice were captured on surveillance video entering an unlocked car and rummaging through the center console. McDonald was charged in the incident and a warrant was issued for his arrest, but, he went on the lam or on the bunny. And here he is, showing off his heroic deeds. But he's on his way back to the swamp, as he is going to be arrested. Let's get to the thought of the day. Thought of the day happens every night at this time, where we put a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air, because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Day is as follows. Tell me about your Sasquatch encounter. We got some good stories here. Start with David. I don't have one, but I had one reported to me through my Facebook group PEI UFO info and other phenomena. I was told this guy and his brother were going fishing out on the Dunk River Road on Prince Edward Island, which is about the size of a potato, when he could smell something that was rotting meat and wet dog. He then heard a strange growl in the trees, started shaking around him. He and his brother beat it out of there, and another place he was fishing on the McMurdo Road area, which is not too far, had seen Sasquatch tracks. Marla, my father got a real photo from the man that took the most famous video of him on the creek out there. Well, it was a real paper snapshot. I left all my pictures out one day, and while I was at work, my two big black giant cockatoos got out of the cage somehow. Out of all the pictures, they found the Bigfoot and ever so gently beaked him right out of the picture. Sure they did. Sure they did. All right, let's move on here. Dorothy, I don't have one, but my daughter and granddaughter in North Carolina had one. It was just after dark, 8 or 9 p.m., and on a lonely wooden two-lane road. Wooded two-lane road, not wooden road. They were on their way home. One crossed right in front of them. They both said it was big and looked just like Patty, but no breasts. Now, they definitely believe. I wish I could see one from a distance, of course. LB, when you're ready to do an interview, Dave, let me know. I know more than 50, or I've had more than 50 direct contact with several groups in California and surrounding state. It was part of my training as a shaman. Oh, we're going to get him on. I think there's some peak woo there. Kevin, invite me to be a guest on your show, Dave, and I will tell you about my 3 personal encounters with Sasquatch. But there is so much more to tell than just those stories. Cost you a guitar, Kevin. You got lots of guitars. Susan, I've never seen a Sasquatch, but I would sure like to. Tina, they come through our property in the summer and fall. Last year, I was late picking my apples. They took all the apples from 6 feet up. They left me all the low ones. They've wood knocked at me, whistled at me. Oh, I can't even whistle right now. That upsets me now. That was a perfect timing for that. Boy, did I blow that one. They wood knocked at me, whistled at me and my dogs, taking pretty rocks from the posts I put out for them, and I've even seen eye shine out the back at the 8-foot level. Human Carl, August last year, East Eddy Ranch, came out of my tent and saw people in a field about 40 yards away, looking at the ground, 4 footprints, with the first one being the deepest and the other 3 consecutively lighter, as if someone landed with their full weight on 1 foot, took a few steps, then poof, away. Footprint was about 16 to 17 inches in length, 6 to 7 inches across at the toes. That's kind of cool. Brett, I think I told you my biggest one on your show. Brett, you haven't been on the show yet. Kind of hard to know your story if you haven't been on the show yet. Difficult. The difficulties I go through as a show host. But it is what it is. See if we can find any more. Let's go over to Twitter. I'll do a little bit of scrolling here. See, Twitter was all hopped up today on my side because of the Toronto Maple Leafs being eliminated from the playoffs. And not being a Leafs fan, like the majority of Canadians, we're all happy. Today's a day of celebration in the hockey world. A day of celebration. I know there's a few of you out there that aren't going to like that, but too bad. It's just what it's all about. PJ, one night in the late 90s. Oh, no, that's not it. That's about Art Bell telling truckers to honk their horns. I think that's about it. Let's just close out the thought of the day. Good enough. All right. So, we want to say thank you to Captain Shirk, our SOR News Director, for filling us up with the news on the SOR News Wire tonight. You can find it right now while our website is under construction by going to the Facebook page, the SOR News Wire. We'd really appreciate you giving that a like. Thank you so much. Also, a big thank you to Robert Kennedy for coming on in to talk about British Columbia Bigfoot. Very, very cool stories. And he lives by me, so we're going to go hang out, talk some Sasquatch, because we don't squatch around these parts. But it's going to be fun, nonetheless. Tomorrow night on the show, Chad Meek is going to join us. He's a UFO researcher, author, coming in to tell us the best UFO story never told. But we could only use that title once, because it'll be actually be told after that. 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Big thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thanks to everybody in our chat rooms tonight on Spreaker, Revolution Radio, the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for being here tonight. You guys make it a lot of fun each and every night because together, my friends, say it with me, we own the night. I will talk to you in 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Thank you for listening, everybody. See you tomorrow night. Good night.